Hollywood. The Detroit Lions have struck a move, a big trade, a blockbuster move that has sent Matthew Stafford, the former first overall pick, to the LA Rams in exchange for multiple first-round picks, a third-round selection, and Jared Goff. I'm a huge Matthew Stafford guy. If you follow this channel, you know that I love Matthew Stafford. He's one of my favorite players in the NFL, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL to follow, to watch each and every Sunday. And I wanted him to go somewhere where he could succeed. This is about as good of a move for both teams, and both teams can be as happy as humanly possible because both sides get exactly what they want out of this trade. Both sides get exactly what they want. The LA Rams, yes, they're mortgaging the future, okay? They're all in on Matthew Stafford, number 9. They're all in. They've gotten their big boy pants on. They strapped up, and they said, you know what? This is our guy, okay? Jared Goff, I'm sorry. You're no longer our guy. We tried it. We even got to a Super Bowl, but when we got there, you didn't have the ability to put us in position to win that game. You weren't enough. So what do the LA Rams do? They say, you know what? We were awesome this year. We have an amazing coaching staff. We have an incredible young offensive genius of a head coach, Sean McVay, who's one of the best schemers in football. We consistently, because of Sean McVay, have one of the best run games in all of football each and every year. Cam Akers, a nice young runner that we love. We've got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp locked up long-term as our 2 primary wide receiver options. We even have a bit of depth behind that. Offensive line, okay, we might need some work, but with McVay there, we've gotten by with less than stellar offensive lines. So, okay, we're good. Defensively, we're the number 1 defense in the NFL. We have Jalen Ramsey, the best corner in the game. Aaron Donald in his prime, the best defensive player of the last 20 years. Right? And we have the number 1 defense. The Rams go to the divisional round. They beat the Seahawks. Some would call it an upset. But they just simply did not have enough offensively to go further than that. They didn't have enough at the quarterback position to go to Lambeau and to win that game, despite the Packers being a good team, but not a great team. We saw the following week that they lost to the Bucs. The Rams have realized that the NFC over the next 2 years, next year and the year after, pretty weak. When you're looking at the NFC competition, it's pretty slim. Especially if you're the team to get Matthew Stafford. You're taking them from one of the teams in the NFC already, the Detroit Lions, and you're keeping them away from a team like, let's say, the 49ers in your own division, who, if they got Matthew Stafford, they'd be put in the same position you're in as a primary contender. So the Rams look at the landscape of the NFC, and you go division by division. I mean, the NFC East was a complete, utter joke this year. It might be a little bit better next year, just out of averages, and because Dak Prescott will be back. But other than that, I mean, nobody's scared of the NFC East. NFC South, okay, the Bucs will still be there because Tom Brady will be back. They're going to be an elite roster, an elite team, and you'll have to contend with them. Other than that, Drew Brees retired. The Saints are kind of irrelevant with all the cap space that they don't have. You're not worried about the Panthers unless they get Deshaun Watson. Matt Ryan and the Falcons aren't really doing anything. The NFC North, okay, maybe the Packers will be back with Aaron Rodgers, but they're even in a position where they'll probably lose a couple players. Nobody else in the NFC North. I mean, the Bears don't have a quarterback. The Lions just gave you their quarterback. And the Vikings kind of stink. Then you look at the rest of the NFC West in your own division, and you realize that Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are still a couple years away. Maybe they could get to the playoffs, but they don't feel like a contender right now. The Seahawks, they feel like they're on the downslope, if anything. They don't really feel like they're on the incline. They're on the decline. And the 49ers don't have a quarterback. So if you're the Rams, you're saying, holy, we have an opportunity here with a guy that, to me, is a top 10 quarterback in football. And I'm sure with what they gave up for him, they believe that Matthew Stafford is an elite player and a very good quarterback that can take them over the top. When you're looking at Matthew Stafford, he is a top 5 quarterback in probably this conference. And now the Rams with him are a top 2 or 3 team in this conference. Right? They were a Final Four NFC team. They upgraded the most important position. Maybe they lost their defensive coordinator. That's going to sting some. But they've had a reputation to have a very good ability to replace coaches and players over the last couple of years, and McVay's been very good at recruiting up-and-coming coaches, just like he did with Brandon Staley. So I don't think they'll have too much of an issue there, although that certainly hurts. It stings. But if you improve your offense back to elite levels with a better quarterback, your defense doesn't have to be the absolute best, although it should still be very good. So my overall picture of this move is that the NFC sucks. Period. End of story. Point blank. Okay? There's the Bucks, there's the Packers, and not much else. Could throw in maybe Seattle. Okay? Other than that, nobody else is relevant. Nobody else is contending or looks like they're going to be contending next year. A lot of teams are in cap absolute crime right now. They are just stuck, okay? They can't move like New Orleans. So we have an opportunity. Yes, we are leveraging. We're getting rid of all our first-round picks for our eternity. But we have an opportunity within the next 3 seasons with Matthew Stafford to win a Super Bowl. They made it there 2 years ago in 2018 with Jared Goff. Can they get similar magic with a better quarterback? That's the question. Okay, that's the question. To me, I believe that they'll be fantastic with Matthew Stafford. I wanted Stafford to go to a team that ran this type of system. I wanted Matthew Stafford to go to a team that ran this Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, this kind of, we got the play action, we got the stretch runs, we got the outside zone, and then our quarterback can absolutely just destroy you with his downfield passes, his quick strikes down the field. He has enough mobility to move around and extend plays that way. And then the thing with Matthew Stafford that goes overlooked a lot is he's one of the few quarterbacks, probably one of the 5 quarterbacks in this league, that if you're trailing at the end of a game by 1 possession and you need your quarterback to come through at the end, he has a better chance of scoring than the other team has of stopping him. Since coming into the NFL, Matthew Stafford has the most fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. So yes, Stafford, sure, hasn't had the team success, but he's had plenty of individual success, and he's shown you that it's more due to Detroit not supporting him than him being less than stellar. Stafford's had many great years in this league, and I think his best years are ahead of him, to be honest, in this league. When you look at Matthew Stafford, the way he's been trending in his career, he's actually gotten better. That's the scary part, and that's why I feel the Rams made this move, or were willing to make such a big investment. Because, guys, this is a huge investment. This is 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a guy that you picked first overall. Like, this is not just some small little package that the Rams are giving here. This is a big deal. This is we are all in. Chips are all in the middle of the table. We're putting our testicles square on the table for this maneuver. And when I'm talking about Matthew Stafford's getting better, when you look back 2 years ago, he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL before he got hurt. Played half the season. He was on an MVP caliber pace. This year, he had his ups, he had his downs. Most of that, I think he would have had more of ups if his number one receiver was healthy, but he wasn't. And then plus Stafford dealt with some injuries, which is kind of like the risky part, I think, of this move, is that Stafford has dealt with minor injuries throughout the course of his career that he's often fought through. He is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league, but he still seems to have, an ailing thumb or knee or back or whatever it has been. He's had to fight through those injuries for a majority of his career. Now, that a lot of that has had to do with the fact that he has no run game for most of his career. He's only ever had one 1,000-yard rusher. I think he has like less than 10 100-yard rushers in his entire career in a game, which just speaks to how little he had around him. And defensively, he's never really had a defense. So he's constantly passing, dropping back, getting hit. And you know the story. When you get hit, you get hurt, right? So hopefully he can remain healthy, stay healthy. And I think this offense does a good job of protecting their quarterbacks with the way that it is designed. So that will be helpful. Now, when I look at the Rams for the past 3 years, their biggest issues and their biggest fault and their biggest problems have been that they are bad when they traditionally drop back to pass. And I think a lot of that will be solved because Matthew Stafford is now your quarterback, right? The Rams have been very effective offensively when they can stay on a kind of a balanced script. They can run the ball, they can pass the ball, they can evenly distribute their offense, they can use a lot of play action. But now with Stafford, he's a guy that can, if you need to, simply just drop back without the play action, without the gimmicks, without faking an offense or a defense, and just simply throwing 40 times a game if you need to. I think Stafford being your quarterback is one of the guys that's one of the best primary pocket passers. So to have that type of guy is just going to elevate an element to your offense that has been the weakest element of your offense over the past 3 years, even though you guys have been good, right? No losing records with Jared Goff, but everybody watching the Rams over the past 3 years past 3 or 4 years, has said that, okay, it's not Goff, it's McVay, it's this offense, it's the talent around him. Sometimes it's the defense. And with Stafford, a lot of the time, it's the exact reverse. It's not the defense, it's not the offensive line, it's not the running game, it's not the coaching, it's not the... sometimes you could point to maybe Megatron, okay, making ridiculous catches, or Kenny Golladay. But outside of 1 or 2 receivers he's ever had, it's like Matthew Stafford is doing this. It's not anybody else. So you combine basically a team that has been playing in spite of their quarterback with a quarterback that's been playing and performing in spite of his team. So it's almost a perfect marriage to the point where you now combine the best of both worlds. You get a quarterback who now doesn't have to carry his team, and you get a team who no longer has to carry their quarterback. And trust me, guys, you can win with game managers or just average players like Jared Goff, but when you get that guy in Matthew Stafford who can just make maybe 5 plays in a game that are difference makers, where he can, fit the ball into a tight window, escape a sack, maybe get you a field goal at the end of the half in 30 seconds where maybe you would have kneeled the ball instead, or maybe he wins 1 or 2 games or 3 games because he comes back at the end when maybe you would have lost those games traditionally with Jared Goff. So there's the margins with this move, right? With Matthew Stafford, there's the margins. And the NFL's all about increasing the margins and winning within the margins. And what I mean by that is, sure, the Rams were good with Jared Goff, but they were never getting to where they wanted to go. They were never getting to the Super Bowl. So by making this move, the Rams now open that window of a Super Bowl. If it wasn't already open, they basically shove it open, right? And it allows them to win games in the past that were unwinnable for them because they were always protecting their quarterback. And their quarterback never came up big in big situations. And that has literally been what Matthew Stafford has done throughout the course of his Lions career. In fact, there was one season, 2016, where they literally may have only won 3 games if he did not come back in all of the games. They won 7 fourth quarter comebacks. That's an NFL record, by the way. 7, I think. Maybe 6, but it was 6 or 7. So in a season where the Lions made the playoffs, they won 7 out of 9 games from a comeback. So that's just kind of what Stafford brings you for your Rams fans. Stafford is going Hollywood. That's nice to hear. Now for the Lions, okay guys, for the Lions, and before I get to the Lions, I do want to make sure that you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you do Gronk spike that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more BLV and free agency and trade reactions all off season long. So make sure you do subscribe. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as the live comments, again, is failing me and not working. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below once this video goes up on YouTube. Or if you're watching this after the fact, just let me know in the comments. The Detroit Lions are, I think, making the smart move. I understand that you're giving up a very good player, a player that's close to your heart for Lions fans. You know, their first overall quarterback that's been with them, been the face of their franchise for a decade. I get it. It's tough, right? My team just lost Tom Brady. It's tough. You go through it. First, I hope that Lions fans out there can find it in their hearts to continue to cheer on Matthew Stafford, even though he is not a Lion anymore. I hope that's the case. Secondly, this is a smart move for the Lions. They're getting a load of draft picks. They're getting 2 future first rounders. They're getting a 3rd, and they're getting Jared Goff. And while I have just said that Jared Goff was never getting the Rams where they wanted to go, that's not to say that Jared Goff isn't a bad quarterback, and that's not to say that Jared Goff is not a starter in the NFL. He certainly is. He's probably somewhere in the 20s as quarterbacks are concerned. If you're ranking quarterbacks, he is probably somewhere between 29 and 20. That's probably somewhere where Jared Goff would land. Now the question is, I don't know how the contract would work out or the money would work out, but do the Lions consider keeping Goff as their starter this year, or do they cut Goff to sign with a team that maybe is in a better position, that maybe is looking for a quarterback? Now, what I'm saying here is that the Lions are going full rebuild. So maybe they see Jared Goff as a guy that they can take a shot on for the next couple of years until they find that replacement quarterback. Maybe that's what they're doing here. Or maybe you get a quarterback to take the cap off of the Rams plate so that you get the first rounders, right? You get all those picks that maybe you wouldn't have gotten from another team because they couldn't afford it, right? So the Rams had the best offer on the table, but the Rams said, you got to take Goff too if you want to make this trade. That might have been what happened here. So maybe the Lions didn't necessarily want Jared Goff, but it just so happened that that was the only way that they were going to be able to get 2 firsts and a 3rd. And yeah, Stafford's awesome, but getting 2 first rounders and a 3rd rounder for a guy that I thought was only going to go for like a 1st, that speaks volumes, okay? That speaks to how highly touted Matthew Stafford is, but that also speaks to, I think, how desperate some of these teams are in the NFL to get that quarterback, especially a team like the Rams, who are basically a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl, from winning the Super Bowl, just in a way that the Bucs were this offseason, right? And the Rams are a little bit different because they've been to the playoffs. They've consistently been to the playoffs. Stafford won't have to do a Brady, take a team from 7-9 to the Super Bowl. But basically what you're asking Stafford to do is make a few more plays a game than Jared Goff. That's basically it. So it's going to be interesting to see with the Lions what they do with Jared Goff. Do they keep him around for a season, for 2 seasons, and see what he's got, see if he can be the guy for a couple of years, see what he has? Or do they maybe try to flip him somewhere else? Maybe they try to cut him and just go with a rookie quarterback. I'm not sure what their game plan will be. Maybe he's their bridge quarterback, right? Because they knew they were moving on from Matthew Stafford. Maybe they see Jared Goff as like a Ryan Fitzpatrick type. I don't know exactly what they're thinking there in Detroit, But I love their thinking in trading Matthew Stafford for multiple firsts, because you realize that this guy wasn't going to go anywhere with you right now because he doesn't have the team to support him. Every quarterback needs a good team. And Stafford didn't have that in Detroit. So it was the right move at this point with the way the contract was, that it made sense to move on from him now and get some picks to bring into Detroit and start to rebuild this roster with a new regime, a new culture, and overall, just start fresh. And I think that was the right move for Detroit. So overall, I think it is a fantastic move from both sides, because I think the Rams instantly become a true top 3 team in the NFC, and they become probably, a Super Bowl contender. I think the fit is extraordinary. It's perfect. I think Stafford fits their offense perfectly. And I feel that the Lions get enough back where it was definitely worth it to move on from him and to start fresh. So I'm going to be really intrigued to see how both of these teams operate this offseason, this draft, and to see how the Rams, maybe they make 1 or 2 more moves to support Matthew Stafford to go all in on this Super Bowl this year or next year. Just to add on to the Matthew Stafford analysis, I brought up that I felt like he's only getting better. And I think elements of that can be found in his game when you watch him from week to week. I feel like maybe Matthew Stafford lost a little bit in terms of his mobility. But outside of that, his arm is as good as it's ever been at 32. He's smarter than he's ever been at the position, and it only feels like his IQ for football is rising. And he's one of those guys every week that I feel like gives you a chance at the end of the game. So Matthew Stafford, I wish him the best of luck in LA. I think he's going to do big things. I think he's going to give a massive upgrade, and Rams fans are going to be happy to finally cheer on a good quarterback in LA. And I think Detroit Lions fans, you might be in for a rough year this year, but I think you're headed in a good direction, or at least I don't know where you'll end up, but I will say that I think this was the right move. No matter how it ends up, it's always about the process and the decision-making within the process. And getting these picks and loading up for the future of your team was the correct call. So hopefully you made the right move with your GM, because he's going to have a lot to do over these next couple of years, rebuilding this roster, rebuilding this team. And we'll see if Detroit continues to maybe sell some of their veteran players. There's some of them on their roster, or maybe they want to keep those guys for culture's sake. But that will be interesting to watch. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. I think the Rams are going to be an awesome team this year now. I wasn't sure really what I was thinking of them heading into this offseason, if they were going to stick with Jared Goff. But now that they have officially made a big move to get rid of Goff and to go with a new guy in Matthew Stafford, I feel they're really in the mix this next season. And I'm excited to watch them play and cheer on their team along with you Rams fans. So, if you enjoyed my thoughts on the move and my analysis on the move, make sure you do Gronk spike that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos just like this. Just a few final things, final notes here. I think it is worth talking about the division in the NFC West, as well as overall the Matthew Stafford contract. So let's start with the division for the NFC West. So I think you firmly put the Rams as the favorite in this division after finishing second this year, only a game off of Seattle. I think they rise in the rankings and become that number 1 team. And I think they'll be favored to win this division. Even if they didn't make another move, I think they would be favored to win this division. I see Seattle probably regressing slightly next year, probably still making the playoffs, but regressing slightly. I do not know what to expect with the Niners now that they just lost out on the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes. So if they didn't get Stafford, will they try to go after Watson? Or will they draft somebody? Because it doesn't appear that Jimmy is going to be the guy. At least it doesn't appear that way. Maybe it will be. Maybe he will be. I think the Niners will be in the mix for the playoffs. I still think I see the Cardinals as the worst team in this division currently. They're going to have to do some major things in this offseason to get there, in my opinion. And then as far as the Matthew Stafford contract is concerned, it is very, very doable over these next 2 years. I actually want to look up these numbers so that I don't screw it up. So let's just look up his contract. I know that this year it's very affordable. It's something like $20 million or something this year. So for a quarterback, that's extremely affordable. And I think that's actually significantly less than Jared Goff. So let's see. So Matthew Stafford this next year will be 33 and he will be making $20 million. That is extremely cheap. I don't know if the Rams will be trying to rework that contract or if Stafford will just say, you know what, guys, I'm just trying to win a Super Bowl, so I don't care. Maybe I'll just take the $20 million. And then as he's 34, in another year, he'll be making $23 million. And again, guys, don't be afraid of this age, 33, 34, 35, 36. Don't be afraid of this age. Matthew Stafford has a top 5 arm in football, maybe top 3 arm in football. He's not going to lose that arm in a long time till he's 50. Okay, he'll be able to throw the ball. He's not a guy that relies on his legs. He's a pocket quarterback. So as long as his body doesn't deteriorate from taking hits, this guy will play till he's 40. So I wouldn't be worried about 33, 34, 35 years old. I wouldn't be worried about that at all. Because I think you can find franchise quarterbacks that are 33, 34, 35. And it's still worth spending these first round picks to get them because it's the most valuable position. It's the most, basically dictates wins and losses from season to season. And he has the capability and the upside as one of the only guys in the league. It's probably a list of 12 guys in the NFL that are capable of playing as top 5 quarterbacks. And one of them is Matthew Stafford. So to me, like, especially with a way better offense and a way better system, he truly does have that potential. And to getting that type of guy for $20 million or $23 million in comparison to what some of these other guys are being paid, like, let's just take a look at the quarterback position overall collectively. And I could show you, like, what these guys will be making next year. It's pretty ridiculous, right? So let's just take a look. I know that Patrick Mahomes won't be making a ton of money until like a couple years from now. Let's look quickly. Quarterback update. And if you guys are interested in checking out any of the contract stuff, just head over to sporttrack.com. That is not sponsored. I'm just telling you it's a good place to go. So, like, annually, Matt Ryan makes $30 million. Goff makes $33.5. Aaron Rodgers makes $33.5. Ben makes $34 annually. Russell Wilson makes $35. That's $15 million less than Russell Wilson. And yes, Russell Wilson is better than Matthew Stafford, but not $15 million better. Kirk Cousins makes $33 million. Carson Wentz makes $32 million. Ryan Tannehill makes $29.5. Jimmy G makes $27.5. That was this year, right? Stafford made $27 this year. He makes $20 next year. Derek Carr made $25 this year. So all these guys are making more money than Stafford, and Stafford's better than half of them. So to me, it's a great move all around. You get a guy that is a very good player on a cheaper contract for the next few years to hopefully win you a Super Bowl. You have a great defense, a great team ahead of you, and I'm excited to watch the Rams play in 2021 and 2022 and into the future with Matthew Stafford as their guy. And the other thing here is, if for whatever reason Stafford doesn't work out, it's only 2 years. You know, he's done. If you don't restructure the contract, he's done after 2 years. If for whatever reason it doesn't work, which I think it will work, But for whatever reason, if it doesn't, you're not tied to him for the rest of eternity. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Gronk, spike that like button if you did. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Peace.